So we got a study here that came out of the, I believe it's the Journal of Recreational cannabis laws linked with reduced dementia. Me saying those words was dementia. Recreational cannabis laws linked with reduced demand for prescription codeine. Study. Our research indicates that recreational cannabis laws substantially reduce distribution of codeine to pharmacies and overlook potential benefit for legalizing recreational cannabis use. So in other words, what they're saying is, hey, when you give people a different way to numb their pain, ease their anxiety, give them a little pick-me-up, you get a reduction in, other kinds of abuses, other kinds of addictions. Now, of course, look, the downside of the pills is that it is possible to overdose on pills, right? With weed, if you smoke too much, you eat Cheetos and cookie dough ice cream and watch reruns of the Brady Bunch. Like, there's no, you can, in theory, die from overdosing on weed, but the amount of weed you have to smoke or ingest is more than any human has ever done ever in history, right? So, in other words, the trade-off makes sense. So they say the following. States that implemented recreational cannabis laws through 2019 saw lower demand for prescription codeine, according to new research published this week. Data showed a 26%, that's pretty solid, reduction in pharmacy-based distribution of codeine in the 10 states plus Washington, D.C., while after the laws had been in place for 4 years, pharmacy-based distribution of codeine fell by as much as 37%. Jesus. So I guess for some people it's also just a painkiller. Like weed can function as a painkiller. I know that CBD oil tends to do that for people as well, and CBD oil doesn't even get you high. Among prescription opioids, codeine misuse is especially high, because it's probably one of the few pills that is still, available where there wasn't a massive crackdown on it, because they cracked down on the Vicodin and the Percocet and things like that. And by the way, that was actually a mistake too, because that led to the fentanyl overdoses, because these people who were on the pills couldn't get them, so they went to get heroin on the black market, and some of it was laced with fentanyl, and boom, you get 100,000 overdoses. Recreational cannabis use may be a substitute for codeine misuse. That's from the University of Pittsburgh School of Public Health. Currently, 21 states have recreational cannabis use laws in place, and while cannabis and opioids can both be used for chronic pain symptoms, they have different impacts on patient health. In 2021, misuse of prescription opioids contributed to nearly 13,500 overdose deaths in the U.S., researchers wrote. But again, you have to compare that to what the situation is like now. So in other words, back when it was just the pain pill abuse, there was about 30,000 deaths a year. Now, because fentanyl's on the scene and you crack down on the pills, it's about 100,000 deaths a year. So it actually got way worse. So what they're saying here is, with legal weed all around the country, we probably would be able to reduce some of that opioid dependence, whether it's on the pills or black market heroin or whatever. You have a relatively safe alternative to that. Now, how much is it going to reduce the overdose deaths? That's up for debate and discussion, but it probably will reduce it to some extent. Quote, a reduction in the misuse of opioids can save lives, said study author Shyam Raman, a doctoral candidate in Cornell University's Jeb E. Brooks School of Public Policy, the Jeb Bush Please Clap School of Public Policy. Our research indicates that recreational cannabis laws substantially reduce distribution of codeine to pharmacies and overlook potential benefit to legalize recreational cannabis. So in other words, look, very simple. There are upsides to legalizing weed beyond just the increase in freedom and liberty. You can actually get people off of worse drugs. And so, look, you guys know my take on this. It's always been the same. Legalize, tax, and regulate the drugs. That allows the government to come in and regulate in a way that's intelligent to stop people from harming themselves while also allowing for protection of freedoms. And so the worst way we do it is the way we do it right now, right? Where, actually, that's not fair. Now we have 21 states with legal weed. It was worse when we didn't have 21 states with legal weed. But it being illegal on the federal level is inexcusable. Now, thankfully, Biden is working on that, and they're basically going to reschedule weed. Right now, it's a Schedule 1 substance, which is insane. It's up there with the worst drugs there is. So they're going to kick that down to Schedule 2 or 3, or maybe even take it off the scheduled substances list, which is going to be a huge positive thing. But you got to stop the war on drugs. You got to stop the criminalization of drugs. You have to take a totally different approach. And by the way, at this late date, we have so much evidence that that's the right way to go. There's been countries that have decriminalized drugs. There hasn't been an increase in, abuse or negative side effects. So it's a positive thing. And now we know there are other, unintended positive consequences, like potentially reducing other sorts of addictions, which are worse addictions. Now, some would turn around and argue, well, then you're just addicted to weed. To which I say, and to which many people would say, whoop-de-frickin' do. We got a lot of people walking around today that are addicted to Red Bull or Monster Energy or Xanax pills or beer. And, last I've seen is that people aren't exactly melting down over that. People aren't exactly, crying over that and saying that it's the destruction of the country, So that's part of the deal with freedom, is some percentage of people might struggle and they deserve help, but that doesn't mean you take it away from everybody else in a situation like that. So in this case, legalize weed all across the country. That'll help with our pain pill dependence. But you guys know my whole thing. Honestly, I think those things should be legal too, because with the crackdown on a lot of these pain pills like opioids and Percocet, that's where you get the fentanyl overdoses. So anyway, there you have it. Can't say I'm too surprised that there's more upsides to legal weed. All right, guys, that's the show. I love you all very much. Hey, do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 1 million subs, and if everybody who watched the channel subscribed, we'd already be there. So help us climb that mountain there. Click that bell icon so you get a notification every single time a video drops. Really appreciate that. Support the show on Patreon as well if you support what we do here. Not going to lie to y'all, this new anti-cursing policy from YouTube is obliterating us. It really is. This was a massive crackdown on cursing, and you guys know I curse like a sailor. I'm trying not to, but sometimes it slips out. So, $2 a month, $5 a month, whatever you can do on Patreon, I really appreciate it. If you can. If not, it's understandable. I still love you. And you can support Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack as well. And remember, guys, there is Crystal, Sagar, and myself will be in Austin, Texas, doing a live show at the Paramount Theater on February 3rd. So come check us out there. We're almost out of tickets, so if you want to go to this event, get tickets right now. Paramount Theater, Austin, Texas, February 3rd. Doors open at 6:30. Show starts at 7:30. I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be a great time. But again, tickets are almost gone, so if you want to go to that, definitely don't wait. Jump into it right now, because they're going to be gone soon. So anyway, having said all that, I love you all very much, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.